a lower body mobility piece. We'll get to an upper body one later in the week as well, but just the lower body for today. Each stretch will be about a minute or so, but if you're following along with the video, then that'll be the right amount of time anyway, so you shouldn't need to time it. There, so we'll start with our downward dog, hands underneath those shoulders. Then from here, we'll press those hips up nice and high, weight heavy into those legs there. Your eye line doesn't need to be at your hands, you could just let it hang. And again, really pressing into those hamstrings. Nice and heavy. You can alternate heel drops if you like. Otherwise, just breathing through. And then from here, we'll step our right leg forward first. So right leg forward. Then from here, your back knee is just going to be slightly out towards the side and down on the ground. So if you don't have this range, that's fine. You don't have to sink quite this low. That right hand's going to be pressing into your right foot throughout all of these movements as well. So we're trying to have that shin vertical and pressing that back hip through. Little rocking motion here as well. And again, nice deep breaths whenever we're in those stretches. Then we're going to change that angle slightly. Keep the hand on the foot, but let that knee open all the way out towards the side. You can do a little circle motion as well. It doesn't have to be just forward and back. Trying to get a tight spot there and let it open out a little more. If that's enough for you, just stay in that position. Otherwise, from here, keeping that knee out, we're now going to rotate our body towards that left-hand side. Yeah, nice deep breaths. And then carefully coming out of that one, just let that relax for a second before we come into our pigeon here. So if you're not mobile enough for the pigeon, that's fine. There's a variation here where we take our knee towards our belly button and then just lean the weight heavy into that right hand side. You can stay onto your back toes. If you've got the range from here, we're going to try and get that foot all the way up so that shin's parallel. Now we're going to try and sink the weight down so that back leg is down as well. Just sink the weight. Now we're moving with a straight back here. So arms locked out first. Now we'll start to lower down with that straight back still. Nice deep breaths. Try not to let your foot drift too far. If you're not very mobile, it's probably going to drift a little bit. That's fine. And we'll just sit into this for a second before we move on. If you can go lower than that, great. Come all the way down. And again, keeping that pressure on that foot. Let's come over towards the knee. And then we'll come over towards that foot. So again, still keeping that foot nice and high, let that hip open up. And easing out of that. So keeping our right leg forward. From here, your left glute is going to switch on to press that hip open. Just this to begin with. We'll add something on shortly. You can press it further forward if you like, but we'll get into that stretch a little more in a second anyway. Starting with just the left arm, so the same side, up towards the sky or ceiling, depending on where you're stretching. Again, deep breaths here. Now we'll add in that right arm. And now we're going to lean over to that right hand side. Try not to send your hip out, try and stay square with the hips and just reach through that upper body. center there. Keep that right foot forward again, and then our hamstring stretch, just the heel towards the ground, up nice and tall, and then it's a hinge. Hinging forward, bum comes back. You can sit all the way down onto that left leg if you like, it's up to you. And just let that hamstring open out. You're not locking the knee out, so don't let it hyperextend there. Yeah, and breathing through. If you can come a little lower, great. For another 10 seconds or so here. And easy out of that. We're going to change sides here, so we'll come back to our downward dog to go through that full range. Yeah, not too long in this position, just so we can change through to our left leg forward. First one here again, your right knee is going to come out to the side slightly and down to the ground. Then from here, keep that left hand on the left foot and just sink those hips nice and low. That shin is ideally fairly vertical. Yeah, and little rocks there. It can be around as well. It doesn't just have to be forward. And then from here, keep the pressure down on the foot and just open that knee out towards the side. If that's enough for you, just stay there. Otherwise, we add in that, keep the pressure still out onto the left-hand side. Now we rotate that upper body towards the right-hand side. Still keep pressing the knee away. And just take a second to let those hips relax before we come into that pigeon. So again, the variation there, if you need it, the knee comes towards the belly button, and then we stay onto our back toes and just press the weight towards the left hand side. Otherwise, from here, we want that shin parallel if we can get it there. Keep pressure down on that right leg, with your right hand. And then from here, we're going to sink nice and low. So back moves in that straight line, lower all the way down if you can. If not, that's fine. And deep breaths, try and release further into that. Then from here, keep the pressure on the foot, and we're over to that left hand side towards the knee. And now over to the foot, to that right hand side, and sink nice and low there if you can. Let that hip open up. And then carefully releasing out of that one. So left foot's going to come forward again. Then from here, right glute switches on, presses that right hip forward. Just the legs for now, we'll add in the arms in a second. And then right arm only first, up, nice and long, reaching up towards the sky or ceiling, depending on where you are. And now we can add in that second arm, so up first. Now don't press the hip away, let's stay where we are with the legs, just the upper body, reaching towards the left-hand side. Nice deep breath, we've got another 10 seconds or so. And easing out. Keep that heel on the ground. And now we sit up nice and tall first and hinge the weight forward. Again, let those hamstrings relax there. Let's go for another 10 seconds or so here through that hamstring again. Sink a little lower if you can. Easing out of that. If you're not particularly mobile, you probably won't get as much range out of these ones, which is fine, but it really opens up the hips. So we'll start with our right leg on top, left leg's just going to cross. Now lift through that right leg, and if you can, get it all the way on top so that heel or ankle sitting on top of your left knee. If not, just a normal cross-legged sit will be fine, or what you can get from there. Now we're just going to sit up nice and tall. Again, it's that right hip that's probably doing most of the work here. You can press that knee down a little if you like, or bring that leg further across. Just let that hip open up before we add on, but again, we will add on in a second. Then when you're ready, we're going to come towards the side that's on top, so just post with that right hand. Left arm's going to come up and over. Back to center, and now a little more, let's just hinge forward. So again, glute and hip is going to open up quite a bit when we hinge forward, so just ease into it. Deep breath. Try and sink a little further on the exhale. And changing sides, left leg's going to cross, then bring that right leg up and over there. Got more range in that left hip than my right, so just pay attention to where you are tighter. Then sit up nice and tall first. You can press down on the knee a little if you like. And then when you're ready, post out with that left arm. Right arm's going to come up and over. Back to center, and now up tall, and we'll hinge forward. Let that left side there open up. Again, nice deep breath. Release a little further on the exhale if we can. Easing out of that, then we're going to release the front of those ankles a little here. So if you don't have the mobility for this one, you don't have to do it, otherwise stay up in the upper ranges. So shoelace area of that foot down. We want the legs fairly close together, so don't flare the knees out too much. Then from here, post out with those hands, and then we're lifting those knees off to let those ankles stretch. If you don't stretch your ankles very often, it might not be very pleasant, so again, don't come too far back. You can either hold it or you can have that little rock into it. Ideally, we settle into a position and just let them release for a second there. Easing out of that one. Then we'll come into an inner thigh release here. So do it side on, it's a little easier to see. So take your knees fairly wide. Then the inside of your feet, we're going to try and press that down to the ground as well. So it's called froggy, I'm pretty sure. Then from here, if you're not very mobile, start small with this movement. Elbows down towards the ground. And now we want to sit the weight back onto our heels a little more rather than being all the way forward. And just release into that. It's quite an intense stretch if you're tight through the inner thighs, so take it slow. And again, breathing to get more out of it rather than too much movement. If you can open those knees out even wider. Another 15 seconds or so. And then since we're in our thighs, we'll have our last one here as our happy baby. Come down to your back. Then depending again on your mobility, you don't have to reach the feet here if you can. Grabbing onto the feet, if not, big toe, shins, somewhere there. Then from here, bring those knees in towards the chest. Now let's open the feet up towards the sky or ceiling. If you can get the elbows on the inside, press them out even wider there. Little rock side to side if you like. And breathing through. You can change the angle of your feet, find somewhere tight, and again, elbows in to press wider there. And then to finish, just bring those soles of the feet together. You can flare the knees again and pull them in, or just relax there. And take those feet down, and we'll just drop them side to side there, those knees side to side rather. Just getting a little bit of movement back through those hips. And easing out. Nicely done, everyone.